Welcome, comrades in the exploration of the unknown, to a channel that explores the unusual experiences of common people. You've found the ideal location if you're fascinated by terrifying tales and enigmatic happenings. I'd like to share with you a factual incident that will make you wonder about the foundations of reality. Please remember to click the like button and to subscribe to our channel so that you won't miss out on any future spine-tingling stories. As we explore the unseen shadows, a nurse's terrifying encounter with the supernatural, please join me.
I am a nursing technician, and I earn my living tending to patients in their homes. The majority of my patients are elderly people who have lost their family members because they are too busy to take care of them. Thus, it falls upon me to prepare their meals, cleanse them, dress them, and, above all, be their constant companion. They confide in me, sharing their experiences. I often lend an ear, listening to their tales. Some offer advice, while others reminisce about the joys they once knew, and a few express their regrets about reaching an age where self-sufficiency eludes them. This profession has taught me patience and understanding, particularly for those in the twilight of their lives. It is my duty to shower them with the love and attention they deserve as human beings. On one occasion, I received a peculiar request from a lady who sought my services to care for her delicate, bedridden mother. Having encountered similar cases in the past, I readily accepted the job without much deliberation. After all, it would only be a few hours in the afternoon. As I approached the house, the woman I had made the arrangement with awaited my arrival. She invited me inside and forewarned me of the complexities associated with her mother's care. Apparently, her mother had become irrational, obstinate, and plagued by hallucinations. Although such challenges were not foreign to me, it struck me as odd that she reiterated this warning multiple times. After the brief introduction, she beckoned me to follow her into the ominous chamber that served as her mother's abode. As I stepped across the threshold, a chill seemed to crawl up my spine, a harbinger of the foreboding that awaited within. The room itself was shrouded in an eerie ambience, as if it had been cloaked in perpetual twilight. Dark hues adorned the walls, conspiring to absorb any trace of light that dared to infiltrate their desolate domain. As I cautiously approached the bedridden figure, an overwhelming sense of trepidation gripped my every step. I mustered the courage to introduce myself, but the room's dense air seemed to swallow the sound of my voice. With words that hung like a spectral whisper, I conveyed my purpose, assuring her that I would be there to attend to her needs during the twilight hours. A sincere smile adorned my face, attempting to cast a ray of warmth upon the shadowed countenance before me. Yet, to my dismay, my efforts were met with an unnerving indifference that sent a shiver through the depths of my being. Her eyes, hollow and devoid of recognition, bore into me with a disconcerting emptiness. The weight of her apathy settled upon my soul, casting doubts upon my own purpose and igniting a disquietude that resonated far beyond the confines of that gloomy room. Throughout my years of devoted service, I encountered a spectrum of humanity, those whose spirits radiated kindness, while others exuded a darkness that gave pause. But this elderly woman, this enigma of a patient, pierced through the thick veil of experience, stirring within me a gnawing unease that I struggled to comprehend. It was as if an invisible force whispered dreadful secrets, beckoning me into a world where the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin and where the shadows concealed sinister truths. The passing of the days confirmed the lady's daughter's warning. The old woman was not an easy patient. She incessantly complained about everything. I attempted to ignore her remarks, reminding myself that I was being compensated for my service. I strived to maintain peace in our interactions, yet her difficult demeanor proved taxing. I couldn't help but wonder how she must have been in her youth. Was her husband patient enough to endure her? Did her children truly love her? These questions plagued my mind as I attempted to comprehend the origin of her repugnant behavior. The old woman, imprisoned within the decaying shell of her degenerative disease, embodied a living manifestation of suffering that grew more pronounced with each passing moment. Her daughter, a mere vessel of despair, divulged the grim diagnosis bestowed upon her mother by the medical authorities: strange syndrome, an affliction that bound her to a life of torment, an insidious malady that eluded the grasp of any known remedy. I nodded solemnly, feigning comprehension of the profound implications of her illness. The old woman's feeble voice, a mere whisper carried on a gust of desperation, would occasionally puncture the stifling silence of the room, pleading for aid. And so it was, amidst the gloom and trepidation, that she beseeched me to retrieve a pair of larger glasses she had concealed within the recesses of an ancient desk. The task was burdened with a sense of foreboding, for I dared not disappoint the frail being before me, her wrath looming ominously over my conscience. With trembling hands, I embarked on a meticulous search, each drawer revealing secrets of the room's forgotten past. Minutes stretched into an eternity as I delved deeper, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Then, a chilling realization gripped me, a lurking suspicion that the elusive glasses were not to be found among the mundane confines of the desk. A cold sweat traced a path down my spine as I cast my gaze upon a black bag huddled near the edge of the desk like a slumbering predator. Its presence was an enigma, an unsettling omen that sent a tremor through my very core. Summoning the courage to delve into its depths, I hesitantly drew back the tenebrous veil that obscured its contents. What greeted my quivering eyes was a macabre assemblage, an unsettling collage of personal belongings that defied rationality. Among the forsaken treasures lay a collection of tarnished rings, faded photographs whispering of long-forgotten memories, and fabric remnants teeming with the residue of forgotten dreams. But it was the grotesque discovery that froze the marrow within my bones. Nestled amidst the melancholic artifacts were strands of hair, unmistakably human, severed from their rightful owners and preserved in this twisted sanctuary. The sinister revelation clutched at the fringes of my sanity, its implications unraveling the delicate threads of reason. Yet I could not succumb to the grotesque thoughts that threatened to consume my mind. I fought against the encroaching tendrils of horror, refusing to entertain the notion of the unspeakable acts that might have transpired within this accursed room. Burying the chilling revelation beneath layers of denial, I mustered the strength to retrieve the glasses, their frames heavy with an otherworldly weight. Resolute but trembling, I emerged from the depths of that nefarious bag, the tainted artifacts searing their imprint upon my fragile psyche. Clutching the glasses as though they were talismans warding off the encroaching darkness, I returned to the old woman, my composure a mere facade concealing the turbulence within. Little did I know that this ominous encounter, this descent into the depths of the macabre, would serve as but a prelude to the horrors that awaited, like vengeful specters dancing on the edges of my consciousness, eager to ensnare me in their chilling embrace. In the depths of that dreary room, where shadows whispered secrets and darkness clung to every corner, my patient lay, a wretched soul confined within the confines of her suffering. The air itself held a heavy pall, tainted with the stench of decay and unspoken horrors. The oppressive gloom assaulted my senses as I moved further into the space. The bed was a lonely island among a sea of faded tapestries, resting on a tattered carpet with colors that were once vibrant but have since faded due to neglect and time. Days turned to weeks, and with each passing moment, the dust settled upon the forgotten fibers, shrouding them in a veil of neglect. An impulse seized me one day, an audacious notion to cleanse the carpet of its accumulated filth. But the old woman, in her perverse spite, rebuked my intentions with a venomous command. Bound by my familiarity with her ill treatment, I acquiesced, leaving the carpet untouched, a testament to the neglect that permeated this wretched abode. When nightfall draped its cloak over the room, the daughter arrived, an apparition from the realm of the living. I beseeched her, my words laced with a tremor of concern, urging her to tend to the carpet's infestation of dust. Such an environment, I warned, was an affront to the old woman's fragile health. Reluctantly, the daughter agreed, a reluctant concession to my plea. But days turned to nights, and as I beheld the stagnant carpet, its surface undisturbed by the touch of cleansing hands, a sense of foreboding gripped my soul. It was an aberration, an anomaly that defied comprehension. What malevolent forces conspired to leave this tainted tapestry untouched? My curiosity, an insatiable beast within me, clawed at the confines of reason. What secrets lay concealed beneath that deceptive guise of a mundane carpet? With the old woman ensnared in the realm of dreams, I seized the opportunity to quench my thirst for truth. Approaching the bed with trepidation, I crept closer, my breath a mere whisper in the stillness. Nothing stirred, save for the rhythmic cadence of the old woman's slumber. The air thickened with anticipation as my hand reached out, trembling, to lift the corner of that neglected carpet. In that moment of revelation, my eyes beheld a sight that froze the blood within my veins. Etched upon the floor was an ominous sigil, a circle embracing a 5-pointed star, scorched into existence with remnants of crimson wax. Its presence defied logic and defiled the sanctity of this forsaken room. What lies hidden within these walls? I whispered, my voice trembling with trepidation. The strands of hair discovered within the confines of that accursed bag merged with this unholy symbol, knitting a tapestry of suspicion that clawed at the edges of my sanity. A specter of dark rituals and forbidden practices loomed over me, tendrils of malevolence creeping closer with each passing revelation. What sinister forces conspired within this unhallowed chamber? The truth eluded me, veiled in a shroud of enigma and terror. As the flickering candlelight danced upon the sigil's twisted contours, a chilling realization took hold. My journey into the depths of this macabre labyrinth had only just begun, a descent into the abyss of the unknown, where secrets whispered and shadows held sway. But I must confess that even after that terrifying encounter, there was a lingering sense of unease that clung to me like a shroud. The experience had shaken me to my core, leaving me with a deep-rooted fear of the unknown. As the days went by, I found myself plagued by unsettling nightmares. Visions of the old woman's contorted figure, her piercing screams echoing in my mind, and the frigid gusts of wind that seemed to carry an otherworldly presence. I tried to shake off these haunting images, attributing them to the stress and trauma of that fateful night. However, it was during one particularly restless evening that the boundaries between reality and the supernatural began to blur. As I lay in bed, I could sense a presence lurking in the darkness, an unseen entity watching my every move. The air grew heavy, suffocating me with an oppressive aura. Beads of sweat formed on my brow as an icy chill traveled down my spine. In a state of trepidation, I glanced around the room, desperately searching for a source of comfort. But what I saw froze me in terror. There, at the foot of my bed, stood a shadowy figure, its form undulating like smoke. Its eyes, glowing with an unnatural light, pierced through the darkness, fixating on me with an intensity that sent waves of dread coursing through my veins. Unable to move, unable to scream, I felt an invisible force pulling me towards the entity. I was trapped in its grasp, powerless against its macabre presence. As the figure drew closer, a malevolent voice whispered in my ear, each word dripping with malice. "You trespassed into the realm of the damned, meddling with forces beyond your comprehension," it hissed. "Now, you shall pay the price." Panic gripped my being, and with every ounce of willpower, I tried to keep my nerves calm in the face of the entity. I desperately recited prayers and grabbed my rosary that I always carry with me, clinging to whatever shred of protection I could find. Slowly, the room began to lighten as the first rays of dawn filtered through the curtains, banishing the dark presence that had trapped me. I was totally scared. I don't know if it was my imagination or a terrible nightmare that I experienced vividly, but I didn't tell this event to the old woman's daughter. I didn't want her to misunderstand me and think I was crazy. The next day, as I tended to the needs of the old woman, a sense of unease crept over me like a chilling fog. Her gaze held a vacant emptiness, devoid of recognition or response. Fear clutched at my heart, and with trembling hands, I reached for the phone, desperate to summon medical aid. Her daughter arrived swiftly, accompanied by a troop of paramedics whose presence was a feeble attempt to tame the encroaching darkness. The elderly woman's daughter pleaded with me to stay by her mother's side throughout the night at the hospital, which was filled with the noise of hurried footsteps and whispered conversations. She implored me to be the vigilant guardian, the sentinel against unseen perils. With trepidation gnawing at my soul, I consented to her request. Stepping into the room where the old woman lay, a sickly aura filled the air, thick with a sense of impending doom. My eyes widened in horror as I beheld the sight before me, her feeble limbs, once free, now bound mercilessly to the bed. The nurses explained that the decision had been made to restrain her, a desperate measure to prevent her from inflicting harm on herself. The truth behind her tormented state eluded my understanding, veiled in a shroud of darkness. That first night, as I settled into an uncomfortable armchair, a suffocating silence blanketed the room. The elderly woman's aggression had subsided, and in its place was a menacing stillness. I attempted to offer words of solace and whispers of reassurance, but her vacant gaze remained unyielding, devoid of any reciprocation. As the night deepened, a bone-chilling cold pervaded the atmosphere, seeping through every crevice of the room. I checked for open doors or windows, but all were sealed tight, denying the intrusion of outside elements. The inexplicable cold wrapped around me like icy tendrils, refusing to dissipate. Though exhaustion fought against my will, I dared not succumb to slumber, for I was the guardian of a restless soul. Yet fatigue tightened its grip, and my eyes grew heavy with weariness. In the dimly lit room, a flicker of movement caught my attention, a disconcerting twitch, an unsettling dance of her restrained form. A primal fear gripped my core as I watched, transfixed by the unsettling spectacle before me. With trepidation etched upon my face, I approached the old woman, seeking to comfort her amidst her unknown torment. But when my words fell on her ears, they were met with silence. It was not to me that she spoke, but to a specter that danced at the fringes of my perception. Her voice, laced with desperation, echoed through the room, a plea laden with unseen meaning. "You promised me," she cried out, her words reverberating with an otherworldly power. As the night air thickened with unspeakable malevolence, the bed began to move, and with it the old woman, in defiance of physical principle. I stumbled back, instinctively withdrawing from the force she unleashed. In that, the old woman repeated the words, "You promised me." And then she launched a chilling scream that crossed the environment. In that, an icy gust crossed the room towards the windows that opened wide, taking with her the screams of the old woman. In a daze, I fled the room, calling urgently for the nurses. Seconds felt like an eternity as I waited for his arrival. Returning to the room, I saw the old woman lying motionless on the bed. The nurses and attending physician crowded around her lifeless form, their eyes filled with bewilderment and fear. As the old woman's relatives arrived, their grief-stricken faces cast in shadows, the doctors certified her death without questioning the events that had unfolded in that accursed room. Silence prevailed, a shroud of secrecy woven tightly around the unspeakable truth. No inquiries were made, and no words were spoken to shed light on the twisted tapestry of the old woman's final hours. In the days that followed, an eerie stillness settled over the memory of that night. The hospital corridor whispered with hushed conversations, spoken in fearful undertones. Nurses exchanged wary glances, haunted by the lingering presence of something unearthly. But I, burdened with the knowledge of the horrors witnessed, remained silent, my tongue bound by a fear too profound to voice. The weight of that night's events etched itself into the depths of my mind, a macabre reminder of the thin veil that separates the realms of the living and the dead. Sleep eluded me, my dreams plagued by fragmented visions of the old woman's anguished cries and the icy gusts that swept through that fateful room. A few days had slithered by since the horrifying ordeal, yet the tendrils of dread still coiled tightly around my soul. The old woman's daughter beckoned me with a chilling summons, her voice a sinister melody that resonated through the dark recesses of my mind. Reluctantly, I ventured to her home, my steps heavy with trepidation, unsure of the malevolent secrets that awaited me within those walls. As the door creaked open, granting passage to a realm steeped in shadows, the daughter greeted me with an eerie smile that danced upon her lips. Her eyes, cold and distant, betrayed a knowledge shrouded in darkness. We exchanged pleasantries, but the air hung heavy with a palpable unease, as if the very walls whispered of forgotten enchantments and the price paid for dabbling in forbidden arts. Time warped as we conversed, the tick of the clock echoing with sinister resonance. And then, with a voice dripping with remorse, she confessed her family's sinister lineage. Her mother, a practitioner of divination and witchcraft, had descended into the depths of an unfathomable darkness. The daughter, once an unwitting apprentice, had recoiled in terror when her mother's illness took a sinister turn, yet it was too late, for a malevolent entity had seized her mother's feeble vessel. My blood ran cold as her words clawed at the recesses of my mind. The daughter's voice wavered, as though wrestling with the haunting knowledge of her own complicity. She had not forewarned me of the twisted fate that befell her mother, for she believed it unnecessary, an omission born of desperate denial. The revelation gnawed at my sanity, yet I masked my fear with false reassurance, assuring her that all was well. She begged me to share the last moments of her mother's miserable life, however, because she had an insatiable curiosity. Dread clutched at my throat, choking my words, for I could not bear to recount the horrors that had transpired. Instead, I painted a veiled picture of inexplicable convulsions, sparing her the gruesome truth that had stained the fabric of her mother's demise. A tremor passed through her, a mingling of relief and sorrow, as she whispered a mere okay that resonated with the weight of regret. Our encounter drew to a close, the oppressive atmosphere relenting ever so slightly as we bid our farewells. The door closed behind me, sealing away the depths of that haunted abode, but the taint of malevolence clung to my very being. The daughter withdrew into the shadow of her family's sinful past, leaving me to wrestle with the lingering tendrils of an unspeakable truth. Drained and rattled to my core, I made a solemn oath never to utter a word of the harrowing ordeal to another soul. It was as if the ethereal tendrils that ensnared the old woman had fastened their icy grip around my very being, their wrathful gaze fixed upon me, demanding retribution for my unwitting involvement. A shroud of perpetual dread settled upon my weary shoulders as I navigated a world teeming with hidden perils and dark secrets lurking in every crevice. The weight of those haunting experiences proved insurmountable, driving me to sever the ties that bound me to my vocation as a nursing technician. The chilling memories of the old woman's spectral torment and the unspeakable horrors that unfolded in her presence gnawed at my sanity, etching themselves into the deepest recesses of my consciousness. They became an indelible mark, a macabre reminder of the fragile veil separating the realms of the living and the supernatural. Now, as an unwilling witness to the interplay between mortals and the realms beyond, I exist in a perpetual state of unease. Fear, like an ever-present specter, shadows my every move, cautioning me against daring to delve too deeply into the enigmatic abyss that lies beyond the mundane. It is with trepidation that I share this cautionary tale, not to instill fear within you, but to serve as a dire reminder that forces of malevolence lie beyond our mortal comprehension. Beware the siren call of forbidden knowledge and the allure of tempting pacts, for the occult arts exact a toll far beyond what our feeble minds can fathom. Let this account serve as a whispered warning, a testament to the unyielding consequences that await those who dare to dance at the precipice of the supernatural. For in the hallowed domain of the unknown, shadows hold sway, and the line between mortal and immortal, reality and nightmare, blurs into a twisted tapestry of eternal darkness.
As we draw to a close, I hope this terrifying story has piqued your curiosity and whetted your appetite for many more spooky tales. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and to subscribe to our channel if you want more of the strange and unexplained on a regular basis. Watch this space for more engrossing stories that will have you on the edge of your seat. Thank you for traveling with us on this eerie adventure, and never forget to embrace the mysterious depths that exist beyond what is normally perceptible. Till then, keep venturing into the unknown, and may the shadows never cease to fascinate you.